Hey, welcome back everybody to our Let's Play as Artorias, the Abyss Walker. Having a good time so far. Definitely a challenging build for me. I'm used to playing very light characters. This character is quite heavy and using gigantic weaponry. And I think what we're going to do now, in the last episode we did defeat the Moonlight Butterfly. We're going to do a little bit of an explore part of an optional area. I did a little bit off of the recording. I actually went back to the Undead Asylum, picked up gold things, and I fully intend to show you what we picked up when we do go back there to kill the boss. But the primary reason to go back to the Undead Asylum is to pick up this rusted iron ring, which is very useful for Blighttown, and it'll be actually pretty useful fairly soon. Because right now we're going to go back into Darkroot Garden, and from there we're going to descend into the Basin. Curious to see how much damage we do against this Titanite demon as well. Maybe we might have a shot at killing him. He does. Yep, we do a sizable portion of damage to him actually. But he has incredible reach with that Titanite catch pole, and he fires some lightning at you from a distance. So these are really the only source in the game of Demon Titanite. I think you can ordinarily pick up a couple throughout your playthrough. That Sweet Hunter actually has the ability to stagger even enemies that are that loud, or large rather, which is pretty impressive. Also worth noting, they will not respawn, so once you knock him out, that's it for the game. Otherwise you could just farm Demon Titanite from him. It's used to upgrade a couple boss weapons. Also upgraded this Zweihander quite a bit. It's pretty darn powerful at this point. Combined with some gold pine resin to imbue it with a little lightning damage, it's going to be extraordinarily powerful for most of the game until we pick up Artorias' sword. Now you'll remember as we went through the Darkroot Garden, there was this little side path here by the bonfire, and there was a door we couldn't get into. If you go all the way through this Darkroot Basin, it leads to the other side of that door, and ultimately it leads to a boss and a covenant we can join. You can see that crystal lizard hanging out in the distance. We're going to try to run him down real quick as well. Always difficult, especially in heavy gear, getting these things sometimes, but we have a great sweeping smash with this and a lot of range. Yeah, that did it. A couple Twinkling Titanite, fairly rare stuff. This path is fairly linear. There's really only one point where you can turn around and get something. There's a Black Knight that you'll be fighting. These two paths converge. You just jump off the top path to get to the bottom path, and this item along the way. Okay, some decent light gear there. You take a little bit of damage on that fall, but nothing serious. I believe this is where you also get the Grass Crest Shield, which is one of my favorite shields in the game. It has pretty decent resistances, and it actually increases the rate at which you regenerate your stamina. So Black Knight right around this corner, using the Halberd. Oof, that did not work in my favor. That did. Yeah, he's got nothing on us at this point. We actually did pick up his Halberd as well. Pretty cool. Also a pretty rare drop. Dropped some blue Titanite for us. You've probably seen me pick up quite a bit in the way of Titanite, and it's all used for different infusions. You know, you can make your weapons fire weapons, lightning weapons, etc. They all use different upgrade materials. So we'll just go down this last dead end here and pick up my Grass Crest Shield. And I'm just going to immediately equip that. So you can see there it has a little bit higher fire and lightning, a little bit less stability, but does have the additional effect of increasing your stamina recovery. So even if you're wearing it on your back and you're two-handing your sword, it's well worth using. And I believe that does stack with one of the rings later to give you some real fast stamina regeneration. So there's a bonfire in here. This will lead into another area, but I'm just getting it along the way. If we die on Havel or the Hydra that are upcoming, you know, at the very least, we will be able to make a fairly quick run back. Black Knight does not respawn once you deal with him. If this is, you know, at first somewhat overwhelming, just know that that's really the only side path, otherwise you're just following that ramp down here. It seems like a large area, it's actually very small. There's a big lake at the bottom with one of the 2 Hydras in this game, and the Hydra is kind of an annoying fight, but not terribly difficult once you know what you're doing. That said, I usually die on it once or twice until you can get into a real good pattern. Sometimes the hardest part of the fight is falling off the edge of the arena while you fight them. And you'll forgive me, I don't know exactly where we picked it up, but we do have the key to get into this tower. We're going to fight an NPC on the other side that has some of the best heavy armor and best heavy weapons in the game. His name is Havel. His gear is actually in every iteration of Dark Souls thus far. So, really tough fight here. He just hits like an absolute truck. But he's fairly easy to backstab. And we do a ton of damage in our own right at this point. Okay, so there's our backstab. When I played on my light character, I did die a lot to Havel just because of how hard he hits. Looks like we're not having any trouble this time, though. One more ought to do it. Yep. And he drops an incredibly useful ring. You know, it's something that I genuinely don't take off heavier characters at all. It's Havel's ring. It does a lot for you. We don't have rings that are fantastic right now, so I'm actually going to put on the rusted iron ring, and I'm going to put on Havel's ring. It lets us wear heavier equipment without fat rolling. It increases your maximum weight that you can equip at the same time substantially. So even with our Zweihander and the helm on, you know, we can still roll quite quickly. We're in good shape while we're using that. It's interesting to note too, if you can open this door, you can run up to the top of this. It leads you back to the Undead Burg. And I mentioned this door at the very start of the game. One more layer. Here we are at long last. This will lead right back up to where the Taurus demon was annoying us. So believe it or not, we've almost gotten all the items in the Dark Root Basin at this point. Last thing is to deal with a couple crystal golems, the Hydra Flight, and probably won't do much more here for now. When you enter the area that's past that door by the bonfire of Darkroot Garden, it's quite a high-level area. You're frequently invaded there by both NPCs and by other players, so pretty difficult area. And I want to move somewhat carefully through here so I don't aggro the Hydra and the golems as well, so I usually pick these guys off one at a time. The Hydra, you'll see, is going to spit some massive walls of water. Yep, there it is right there. He actually does hit the golems with that, so it's kind of useful if you're not doing a ton of damage. So part of the reason I equipped that rusted iron ring as well, that makes sure that you keep your footing when you're walking through sludge or water or whatever. And the area you fight the Hydra in is a water area. So you would normally walk at a snail's pace through there. With the rusted iron ring, I have my maximum run speed in there, and I don't have to worry about getting bogged down. The Zweihander did get quite a bit more powerful after we upgraded it a bit. Item here, nothing big. One more souls. One more golem here as well. The major advantage of the Zweihander versus the Claymore is that this thing just has so much staggering power. Even these really bulky, heavy enemies, after a couple hits, they stagger. And the Hydra is not actually affecting this guy. We're a little bit too far back, so I'll use one Estus Flask on this. Okay, last golem down. Gained a fair bit of souls here. Now you have to try to survive this onslaught. Don't worry about the item down there. Most important thing at this point is to get down to where the Hydra is without getting blasted by all that water. So you gotta kind of zigzag and hope that the trees help you, because once you ultimately do get down here, this fight is not too bad once you know what you're doing. You want to stay close so you can see the water's edge, stand about here and block, then go ahead and sweep at the heads a little bit. Usually only takes a couple hits to knock off a head. You'll be doing a lot of damage to him. Every head you cut off greatly diminishes his health. So it seems much more intimidating than it ultimately is. Yep, there's another head. I like to block with the shield and then wield this in two hands. I need to heal pretty badly. I don't recommend locking on in this fight either. You don't want to accidentally be locked on and wade into the water and die there. Nope, not quite enough damage to knock off that head. I need to be careful, I'm double attacking. There's another one. We have him down to a little bit less than half health, so we're doing quite well. Okay. Now I've done enough damage to kill him before I cut off the heads. It's somewhat of a rarity, but it can be done. This one does, again, a fair amount of souls, so there we are. There we go. I'm going to try to get that one that's all the way over on the left side now. Just be wary of your footing over here. There it is. One more head to contend with. The very farthest one. At this point, he's just pretty much a mass of stumps. That's the Hydra Flight, so not bad. It's not a boss, considered a mini-boss. Does net you a fair amount of souls. Get a dragon scale on the Dusk Crown Ring. Dragon scales are used to upgrade dragon-type weapons. And got the gear that we actually started the game with there. Just watch your footing as you go through here. What I'm going to do at this point might seem a little bit unusual, but there is a second little mini-boss here as well. He doesn't spawn until after you kill the Hydra and re-enter this area, so I'm just going to quit back to my main menu. Go ahead and load up our Artorias character once more. And we should get one more golem that spawns. It's a little bit larger and he's golden versus the blue of the others. There he is. A little lore, a little backstory to the for the golems. They're actually used as both warriors and living prisons, so there's a couple occasions in the game where you can rescue people that are actually trapped inside of these golems. One being the Onion Knight's daughter, and inside this golem is Dusk of Ulasile. Ulasile being a land that was destroyed a long time ago. This is important if you plan on doing the DLC for the game. By killing this golem, Dusk does spawn. You can talk to her, and she does sell you some spells as well.
It is the most great. I cometh from an age, so my home, would this be my heart? Then I shall. Thou art in. It seems that my tongue.
Okay, a couple other things we can do. You can now summon her at the foot of the lake there. And I believe her gear does spawn too the next time you enter the area, so that's why I'm again quitting. Apologize, I just jumped on my other game here. Bear with me for one moment while I switch over. Okay, here we are. I don't see her gear, but I don't know exactly where it is either, so ultimately not that important, not unless you are a spell user, in which case the gear's not too bad. I think her headpiece may increase magic damage, so. Up this ladder leads to the difficult high-level portion of Darkroot Basin. We're not going to do that at this point. We're just wanted to get over here, kill the Hydra, get Havel's ring. You know, a couple things that are fairly useful. I do see Dusk's sign over here as well. So this is where you summon Dusk. Go ahead and touch that summon sign. She'll pop up and she acts as a merchant. I think she may teach you a gesture as well. Yep, proper bow. Regardless of what kind of character you have, for later in the game, I would buy Cast Light. It's very useful for one of the dungeons in this game. So, if you have a couple thousand souls spare, definitely a worthwhile investment. I may just buy this as well. Yeah, not anything we need. But we did get Cast Light, so that's pretty important for later in the game. Now that we have done all this, I intend to run back to the nearest bonfire here. Probably go to Darklink, or Firelink Shrine rather. I may level up, buy some pine resin for a boss fight. And level up a little bit. I don't want to take my strength much higher, truthfully. I think I'm going to put a few points in dexterity as well, because a lot of weapons do scale with strength and dexterity. This should lead us to Firelink Shrine fairly quickly. And to remind you, this is the room we beat Havel in. We're just walking backwards at this point through the first area of the game. And I think it's fun to do anyhow, just so you can see how much more powerful you've become. These enemies are just laughable at this point. You can just grind them into dust. You know, even if you have not leveled as much as I have, even if your gear's just slightly weaker, you know, it's interesting coming back to these areas, and what used to be a challenge is now comical. Love to get a little bit more endurance so I can swing this more than twice, but I'll take an ungodly amount. I think maybe I may take this as high as 40 for my endurance score, so I can really use heavy gear with no downsides, and I may not even need to use Havel's ring. Everything falling before the might of this Zweihander. Go ahead and save this bonfire. Our endurance is already quite high. Put a point in dexterity. I'd like to get my dexterity up to 18. I believe that's what is required for Artorias' sword. I know I need more of an investment than I would like in both faith and intelligence, but I'm not going to worry about that quite yet, as this weapon's also quite good. And we're not going to get Artorias' sword for quite a long time. I'm sure you all remember walking through this path to get to Firelink Shrine. After I get to Firelink Shrine, I'm gonna see if I can buy some pine resin here. If not, I will go into the depths and do that. Not too big of a deal, and we'll end the video off there. Next time, we're going to make a quick run through the Asylum again. I've already been there, but I want to show you guys where to get a couple items while we're there, and then we will descend into Blighttown and ring the second bell. You can shrug off most blows pretty easily at this point. Oof, just short. Okay. So Dom Hall of Xena is in fact not here. That is the Merchant from the Depths. I won't record that. I'm just going to run back there quick and buy a couple gold pine resin for a boss. That's something I'll do off camera, so it's not just a lot of me wandering around. And that should be everything for right now. Still carrying around a solid amount of souls. We're looking good in Solaire's gear. I appreciate y'all watching, and I hope that was helpful. Kind of a short area, but definitely useful to pick up some of that gear while we were there. We will see you next time. If this is something you enjoyed, like and subscribe. Thank you.